Everything's going wrong. Ah! Hi there. Welcome back to my channel. I am Cherry, and I'm going to talk about the books that I read in November. There were quite a few lessons to be learned, a bit of a miss, something that I should have just DNF'd, not because I didn't like it, but because my mind just wasn't compatible to the story. And one book that not just made me very happy, but is making me look forward to some projects of next year. So I read in total 8 books, of which 4 were actual physical copies, 3 were ebooks, and 1 was an audiobook. Now, 2 of them were book club books. I'm talking about Benjamin Franklin's biography and On the Beach by Nevil Shute. Of these two, I have to say that On the Beach was a little bit of a disappointment. It's officially one of the first post-apocalyptic novels out there, not including, the ancient stories. Um, and it started out really promising, but to me, it ended up being more of a study of the relationship between men and women, because there's a lot of behavior that today would not be okay, misogyny, sexism, and it ended a bit like I don't know, a lot of question marks. And I guess it's interesting because it gives you a very honest view of what it was like to be alive during the 1950s. I mean, I guess I was expecting a lot more of the post-apocalyptic story, which is takes place after the Second World War, and you follow the people that have survived so far because they were in Australia at the time that, you know, the whole world collapsed basically, except they're not safe either because the atomic dust cloud is making its way to Australia as well. So at the point of the story is kind of that the people who are left are trying to see if there's any chance that they may survive, that the cloud maybe, passes them, or that maybe the effect of the dust is lessened over time. To me, the most interesting part of the book was that it just gave a very honest view of what it was like to be a man or a woman back then, and especially how much is still normalized today. So you can read it for both reasons, but I would keep an eye out for behavior that um, maybe shouldn't be here anymore, but still is. Aside from that, it was post-apocalyptic, and it was written in a time where I feel like the language was a bit stale. But I don't regret reading this. I'm not sure who I would recommend it to though, because it's a bit specific. The other one that we read for our book club was Benjamin Franklin, An American Life. Now this is quite the brick, which wasn't what actually bothered me. I loved the beginning, the early life of Benjamin Franklin, learning the things that he invented, because I knew, I guess, a little bit about his part in electricity and the lightning rod specifically. But this guy invented so much, and I had no clue how much we kind of owe to Benjamin Franklin. It got a bit of a struggle once we ventured into the politics of it all, because I don't like politics. Who does actually like politics? It bothered me to no end. So I made it just at the end of the month. I finished it. The last evening of the month, I finished it. Um, yeah, what to say? I guess, I mean, to me, I feel like I'm not American. You can clearly see how this man had a huge influence on what America is today, and even more importantly, what it isn't and what it could be. Um, as you know, Benjamin, I mean, I'm assuming, as you may know, Benjamin Franklin was a huge uh, character in the beginning of America as we know today. But yeah, I guess what really rubbed me the wrong way was how blind people were, that were colonizing America for the things that they were doing themselves to the Native Americans. It just baffles me, and I really had to turn off my brain to get through those. parts, particularly, because it's just the mental gymnastics, the cognitive dissonance to me makes absolutely no sense. How can you do one thing to someone and then turn around and yell at someone else that what they're doing is unfair? That just, in the end, this is a great book to read, not just to learn about the guy who made the very first political cartoon. Let me just show you. Join or die. What about that? Again, kind of shows you the foundation of America, doesn't it? I wish that this was mandatory reading for everyone in America specifically, but not just there. I feel like you can learn a lot about history and the mistakes that we keep repeating from a book like this. It was written in a very pleasant way. So even though it's a biography, it was filled with so much interesting lessons, life lessons, not just for the person the book is about, but just for everyone. Moving on to show you. Well, let's just do something that I really don't understand yet. So I am talking about, do androids dream of electric sheep? It was very short, like not even 300 pages for my e-reader. Um, and I really don't know what to say. I found out yesterday that it's actually a series, so I plan on continuing almost all series that I started this year. So I guess maybe if I read more, it will make more sense. But I kind of ended this with the biggest frown on my face. I hope that it will make more sense. But if you can explain to me what the hell happened there, that would be great. Because I'm just so confused. I loved how it was written. The Philip K. Dick is kind of close to On the Beach when it comes to publishing time. This read a lot more contemporary than On the Beach did. But I don't know. Maybe I was just not focused enough. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Except that I didn't mind it. I guess I was just not focused enough for one. So given that it's not too big a book, I'm probably going to read it again before I pick up the rest of the Blade Runner series. But who is it one of those books that actually is complimented by the movie? Because sometimes it happens, it's rare, but it happens that a book and a show or a movie actually kind of complement each other in a way that separately they just don't make that much sense. So maybe that's the case. Let me know if it is so, because I have trouble watching movies. You have to convince me to do so. But I guess in this case, I would be very much willing to, because I don't like being this confused. Help me. What didn't confuse me, even though it's like a murder mystery book, was Murder in the Dressing Room by Holly Stars. This was gifted to me through Throne by I Am the Fixer, and I. This was just the perfect palate cleanser in between confusion and a very thick informational biography and have a lot of notes. I had never read anything from the perspective of a drag queen before, and I have to say, I really don't know a lot about it. So that's a big reason why I really appreciated this book. And I could feel the tension when the pronouns were used wrongly by certain characters, and I really didn't see the ending coming. No, I didn't read a lot of mysteries, so it could be me. But this was a book that you just shouldn't take too seriously. But you could if you wanted to, because there's a lot of layers when it comes to identity and gender and what it's like to be surrounded by people that you thought you could trust, but suddenly there could be a murderer in your midst, you know? But it didn't weigh too heavy, which is why it was a great palate cleanser. I love this, and I would love to recommend it to anyone who was interested in one or all of these subjects. Yeah. All right. So I also read as ebook Gabriel's Inferno. This is an older book. It was, I think, released in 2011, around the same time as 50 Shades of Grey, and you do feel that it was a certain time in the book world that a lot of us will remember. There was this huge craze about 50 Shades and a lot of controversy, but I kind of feel like that was sort of the beginning for mainstream, you know, certain type of books. And I don't remember Gabriel's Inferno being that popular. Um, I don't really know why. It's about it's a teacher student relationship. But I guess they're both so toxic. They're so incredibly toxic that I felt like at some point like this shouldn't be a romance book, or but more like a book that you could read to see the warning signs, the red flags, not just for the man but for the woman, because she is giving major stalker vibes and he has serial killer vibes. Yeah, the push and pull was just toxic. There was no sense. It was red flags on every other page. Uh, I do plan on reading it to its entirety because this is a series as well, and the reason I picked it up is because it's a favorite of one of my best friends, and well, it used to be. At this point, we're both like, "Oh God, what is this?" But yeah, I want to make it to the end and find out what is wrong with these people. Come on, what's happening? I didn't mind it aside from that, but I think if you read Gabriel's Inferno, think about it as what are the red flags I should look out for. I guess that's all I want to say about that. I already have the second book, so I'll keep you posted. Next up, I have a book that I should have DNF'd. I listened to it on Audible as an audiobook. It was A House Without Windows by Nadia Hashimi. It's a very, very important story. It's about human rights, women's rights, the experience of women in traditional culture. It was very dense when it comes to subject matter. I should have known after if the first few chapters that this wasn't going to be a good listen for me. There are certain types of story that just don't work for me in audio version. I always prefer a physical copy of a book, a book like this especially, I shouldn't have gotten it on Audible. I did finish it, but I really can't say anything about it aside from that the bits that did stick were very um, beautifully written, even if it was heavy and sad. I just my mind just wasn't ready for the story. It's been very loud in my head, and just need a little bit more time to be able to focus on a story like that. It's not hands on enough for me. I just start to tune it out because there's buzzing in my head. So I will find a physical copy of A House Without Windows, and I'll let you know what it was about, fully, truly, once I've read it. Another ebook that I read was Daughter of the Forest by Juliet Marillier. Marillier? Marillier? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. I'm so sorry. It's Daughter of the Forest. Um, and it is about the seventh child of a family, but she was supposed to be the seventh son of a seventh son. She isn't. She's a girl. I don't want to spoil too much because this is truly an amazing story. I think it was published in '99, so it's a bit older. But after reading a little bit more contemporary, I have found myself going back to books that were published a little while ago, and this was one of them. It was just beautifully written. You follow Sorsha, and um, in short, I guess she gets cursed. That's really I all I want to say about it. It is a series of 7 books. Unfortunately, I don't think you actually follow the same person in every book, but I am hooked. I want to read all the 7 books right now and just find out what happens after this particular story. It could be read on its own, I feel like, because it does end pretty nicely. The pacing was amazing, even though certain characters aren't always visible. The characters were really well fleshed out. very believable. There's some trauma that happens to certain characters. It does touch upon heavy subjects that are important throughout the rest of the story and actually make sense. So it's not cheap, and it has magic, it has a little bit of love, it has curses, and it was just written at a different time. So if you like fantasy and stories that don't necessarily lean on magic, but do have it heavily in the story itself, it's a beautiful book. I highly recommend. Lastly, I want to talk about an author that is pretty much my new favorite author of the year. I am talking about Alif Shafak. This is the second book that I read by this author. There Are Rivers in the Sky, and I'm in love. Last year, my favorite author, new author that I discovered was Catherine Arden for completely different reasons. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't even care what Catherine Arden will release. I will buy it. I will read it. I'm actually going to reread the Winter Night trilogy really soon because I love that story. I need to read it again. I want to be in that world. This author makes me feel the same way, except I want to be in the author's head, actually in the head of Shafak, because the use of words, the weaving together of history and fact and story is seamless. You are learning a lot about the history of these characters. It takes place throughout a few centuries, but it's all about water and how important water is to life and to our own stories. So you go from Victorian London to 2014 to 2018, in Victorian London, Turkey, and contemporary London. This will change the way you see the world, not just the way we use and abuse water, but just it's one of those books that teach you about the foundation of the world through story. And that's my favorite. I love that. You can't go wrong with a story like that when it comes to me, at least. If you love stories that weave together fact with fiction and that way teach you about life and books and people, just make you feel alive and grateful that you now know how to be a better person, that's a short book. And that's it for this video. That is what I read in November. Now, yes, I am still climbing the Magic Mountain. Really don't know what I'm going to say about that because I have to do some research. I came upon a very interesting sentence that wasn't the narrator, but I'll go back to it. Remind me if I don't, because I might need a reminder. I'm so unsure about that. If you know what the hell happened at the end of Philip K. Dick's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, please explain it to me. Is it worth watching the movie? Did you read any of these books? Are you going to? And what is the mountain of a book that you have been reading? Because I would like to know and feel less alone in this struggle. But I'm gonna stop rambling now. Working on a few very interesting projects that are coming up next year. I would like to invite you to look at my Hermit road trip video in particular. I'll link it down in the description. And I hope to see you in the next one.